Welcome all to the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. If you like going off-roading in Toyotas, wrenching on Toyotas, camping in Toyotas, and maybe even poking a tiny little bit of fun at Toyotas, and of course, hearing about how great moose knuckles are in Toyotas, then this is the podcast for you. That's right, ladies and germs. My name is Tyler, and joining me again for episode 400 of the episode of
19.
Thank you. Of Snail Trail 4x4 is Mr. Jimmy Jet. How are you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Thanks for asking. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm making it through life right now, but
yeah, you and me both.
Yeah, it's a fun time. Yeah, man. How's the weather been for you?
The weather?
Mm-hmm.
It's been fine. I wasn't ready for that one. I don't have much control over the weather, so I don't know. The heat, it's been warm. Yesterday it was cold, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, yesterday was nice. The weekend was a little toasty, but
yeah, it was.
I just had a new HVAC system put in my house.
Oh, so has it been chilly at the house?
No.
What?
It has
Serious?
not. Correct.
Maybe your HVAC system wasn't broken originally. Just you can't cool that house down.
I don't know. The compressor was definitely shot on the old one, and that was the problem. I had to get a whole new HVAC system was because the compressor was an R22.
Oh yeah,
Freon compressor. They don't make those anymore, so or at least you can't get them in California anymore.
Yes.
So I had to get a new system, and I got this like really really fancy Japanese system.
Okay, cool.
This system runs on DC, 12 volt DC.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it takes your 110 volt AC and converts it to 12 volt DC.
Yeah.
And then runs the system off of that.
Oh.
So it's super energy efficient.
Okay, cool.
That and combined with it has a 65 stage compressor and fan motor in it.
Wow.
So
that sounds complex.
It's very, very complex. There's a lot of Japanese programming into the system to really kind of make the house run super efficient so that the system will run. If the house is at the temperature that you wanted it set to, like the system just kind of barely runs.
Yeah.
And if it needs to ramp up in order to really run and really cool things down,
engage all 65.
It'll engage all 65 stages kind of thing. But even at 65 stages, it's still only running like 20% of the power draw that my old system was.
Dang, that's pretty impressive.
So the energy bills should be a lot better. Plus, we have to, in order to do that system, we had to redo the heater as well.
Mm-hmm.
So redoing the heater makes us now on an electric heating system for the house, which means we got off of PG&E.
Oh, nice.
For our heating system.
I wish
which
we
was
could do that.
A big benefit that I really wanted to do. Get
so
away
you're
from
on
PG&E.
SMUD now?
I'm on SMUD purely for all of our house utilities, except for the stove, oven, and fireplace.
What are those?
Gas, PG&E.
Oh,
but we don't run those. Don't run and take nearly as much gas as the heating system.
So you're not completely away from PG&E.
No, but our PG&E bill should stay down around $30 for the year,
if that.
Yeah.
Oh, for the year. Yeah.
Well, yeah, $30 monthly.
Got it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, but it's taking a while to get used to this fancy new system because it doesn't turn on right away and and go immediately to full power.
Mm-hmm.
It has to work its way through all the stages before it really ramps up to full power if it needs to be. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's just not what we're used to, and so we're having them come back out with a rep and see if they can reprogram it to make it through the stages faster.
Right. Yeah. You're like, when it's hot in here, we want it to become cold.
Yes, and it's not.
And not an hour later, then it becomes at full power.
Yeah. It takes like 15 minutes for it to crank up to full power. So like, not terrible, but still, it's just like, is the system even doing anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, those Japanese aren't used to mansions like you have.
I don't have a mansion
compared to the places in Japan.
Okay, probably.
The places in Japan are like itty bitty.
Yeah, it's like San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Apartments in San Francisco.
Little houses, townhouses and all.
Yeah. So anyways, I've been struggling around with that. And then a couple of big life things are going on right now that are sucking up all my time. So,
okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about those. Maybe one of them, maybe later. Another one, definitely later.
Yes.
But,
cool.
Yeah.
Got it. That's sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a terrible amount to report besides our Moose Knuckle giveaway that's going on right now. And we've decided that we're going to keep some of the swag and give those away for the swag pack whenever we hit 550 reviews. But we are going to give away all of the Moose Knuckle merch items that they gave us.
Product.
Yeah. There's the word I needed. Yes. We're super excited to be giving away 2 of the jowls. Let's see what color. Do you remember what colors they were?
No.
I don't either. Let's see. It says Sublime Green.
Oh, I want that one.
And then this one is the one you want. Grape Escape.
Well,
it's your green and it's your green and purple right
gotcha.
here.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So those are the 2 jowls. So you're keeping those?
I might keep the eggplant one.
Okay, cool.
We'll see.
And then this guy here is the Mohawk receiver hitch. And then we've got the Moose Knuckle in a detoner. I don't know how to say that word. It's yellow.
Yeah. Perfect.
And then just a normal bow shackle in gun gray.
Sweet.
Yeah. So super excited to be working with Moose Knuckle this month. I think we're going to be able to get him on for an interview here soon, and we can talk about their origin story and where the Moose Knuckle came from and these cool new jowls that they're making. So if you want to get in for some of these free items, you can do that over on iRate 4x4. You can scroll down to that watch, listen, and discuss section. Click on the first podcast because it's the best podcast there, which is Snail Trail 4x4. And then if you're on a desktop on the right side, there's the signups for the giveaway. Or if you're on mobile, scroll to the bottom. There's the sign up there.
Good stuff, man. Yeah, excited for these and getting them on and kind of chatting to them. They seem like they have a fun sense of humor.
Oh, 100%. And their packaging is fantastic. It looks rad. So
yeah. Sweet, man. So that's going on for this month of July. We will be sitting down over today and tomorrow and getting all of the stuff from the Flex Power Tool month shipped out.
Okay.
Over today and tomorrow. The group buy for the super winches is closed.
Yep. One guy snuck in there last minute, huh?
Yep. A couple last minute. Like I got a couple text messages and a couple DMs on Instagram this morning as I was like going through and putting the list together. And I'm like, all right. And I still hadn't heard from a few people. So I'm giving them through the end of today, which is Tuesday, which is now closed according to when you're listening to the episode on Thursday. And I think we made it to 38 winches.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Dang. All said and done. So
and 7 people.
I know, right? Yes. Oh, that's funny. So yeah, we're going to put in a big old order here with Super Winch and they're going to be super happy about it. So I will get in touch with everybody about price, shipping, all those details in your guys' emails. So pay attention to your emails over the next week because all that info is coming and I need to hear from you ASAP. Let's see. So we got that. We have a voicemail.
Okay. Let's
do that now?
Yeah, let's do it.
So it looks like we got one here from Mr. Spaghetti.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, let's see what he has to say.
Hey, Jimmy and Tyler. It's Sean Spaghetti. Long-time listener, long-time supporter, first-time caller. Wanted to give you a call because I went to Sack Fasteners with Jimmy and Corey last week on Saturday. A lot of fun out there with them. Flex had an unbelievable amount of tools out there. Made me a believer of what they've got. They're actually doing some really cool giveaways that were going there and what they were allowing to trade in for some stuff. So a lot of fun. I think I ended up leaving with 6 new tools and about 10 new batteries. So definitely worth the value with what they've got. Like I said, made me a believer of that. I got another question for you, Tyler, for the podcast. Looking at GMRS and one of the organizations I'm with, we do marshaling. So we did a half marathon on Saturday. Obviously 13 miles, you can't get it out, the distance for the signal. What's the best way to make it so that way you can get that signal out? Are there repeater systems for GMRSs? Things like that. Any of that info would be really helpful. Thanks. Keep calling.
Yeah.
Well, first off,
cool. Yeah,
it was great seeing you as well, Sean Spaghetti. And yeah, we did have a lot of fun out there. That was cool. And I appreciate you making the drive from, almost 2 hours out to come and hang out with us and see us and see the tools. So, all right, go for it. I'm done.
Okay. So, radio stuff. Yeah. So if you guys are trying to use GMRS, then you can definitely set up a GMRS repeater, which is really plenty. All you really need. My main concern is that GMRS repeaters, there's only 8 channels available for repeaters. You really got to be conscientious of where you're setting up and where your signal is going, so you're not impeding on permanent repeaters that are in the area. So if you're setting up a temporary repeater to help support an event, you can definitely do that, but you just need to check on those other 7 channels and their proximity to you, so that you're not impeding on anybody else's permanent repeater.
How would somebody do that? Do you just key up the 7 channels that are all 8 channels and be like, hey, are there any repeaters on this?
No. The best way to do it is look at mygmrs.com.
Okay.
That seems to be the place where all the GMRS repeaters are being collected in their database system for knowledge of where they are. It's kind of like the repeater book. But repeater book online also has GMRS. They just started that.
Cool. Good
So you can do either one to kind of look at what repeaters are in the area, and then you'll see what channels that they're operating on.
Is there a commercial band for GMRS?
No, there's not.
Okay.
GMRS is a service of radios, and commercial is a service of radios.
Got it.
So you can't get a GMRS commercial license kind of thing.
I just was asking because commercial is more regulated and more controlled, and there's less people using it.
There's more bandwidth to be used. Yeah. So it's a lot less of a population density in commercial land than there is in GMRS land. So that was going to be my recommendation, is to, if your organization is regularly going out and helping support half marathons, full marathons, 5Ks, 10Ks, whatever you're doing to be like court marshals for stuff, I would highly recommend your organization get a commercial license. And there's things called itinerant commercial licenses that will allow you to have a commercial license typically for an entire state rather than a 70-mile radius. So if you go and look at itinerant commercial license options, there's still very few channels available, but there's more than 8. I want to say there's like 20 to 30 channels available for commercial itinerant licenses. Okay. Yeah. And then you can set up a commercial license, which is what I've done for my off-road radio. Right. And I set up a commercial repeater for Sierra Trek and for King of the Hammers. I'm going to be having a few repeaters this year. I might have 3 repeaters for Hammers.
Dang. Does someone, a commercial license, does someone need to be ham radio certified then?
Nope.
No.
Ham is amateur radio. Ham radio is another service.
Oh,
just like GMRS and commercial is.
Got it. Yep. And so I know that when we spoke on your commercial license, we typed in the frequency, but it's not as easy as just, going to GMRS channel 7.
Correct. Yeah. You need to be able to set it up. So in GMRS, there's channels, I think 18 through 26, 16 through 22. I don't know, something like that, whatever that is. Those are the repeater channels. And technically with GMRS, there's channels 23 through 30 as well that don't typically show up on little handhelds because those are the repeater pair channels. Because a repeater needs to transmit and receive simultaneously at the same time.
Right.
So handhelds that you buy from a store will generally only have GMRS 1 through, I think, 22 or 23 on them. The other ones are the repeater output channels. And so, you need to know all that info, and that's where you find it. You find that info at my GMRS or repeater book.
Sure. But if you're going to go a commercial version, then you're going to have radios that you're going to have to pretty much set the frequencies on.
Correct. Yep. And that's all the same information as you find on ham radio repeaters. You need the repeater input, output, PL tone, input, output, PL tone. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think there's some good information there for you, Sean. If you have any other questions, you can definitely get a hold of Tyler. You know how to do that. But if anybody doesn't, you can find him on Instagram at 4x4 Toyota Tyler. You can email him, Tyler at Snail Trail 4x4. Or if you have more follow-up questions that you want answered on the show, you can always call in 916-345-4744.
Sweet. I like it. I like it a lot.
I think a commercial radio would be a good way to go for his club or that group, it might be more confusing for the users.
It might be. The big thing that would be the huge benefit for his group is that with GMRS, in order for somebody to be on the radio talking to each other, they have to have a GMRS license. You cannot share GMRS licenses.
Oh, interesting. But if you're a commercial, the commercial covers anybody that's using the radios
for the event.
Yeah.
Yep. So the event owns the license. The event owns the radios typically. And then if you are volunteering for the event in some official aspect or working for the event, whatever, you are covered under the event's license.
What if it's like he was saying he was working for a 5K or a 10K run, but then they came out and volunteered for the event and brought their commercial
their own radios?
Their own radio.
You could do that. You just need to program your radio appropriately to be able to work on the event's frequencies and the repeater if they have one.
But so what I'm saying is they are volunteering their commercial radio for the event. It's not the event's radio.
Correct.
So would they still, anybody that's using the radio that's working at the event would still be covered?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it. Cool. Sounds good. Well, thanks for calling in, Sean. It was great seeing you once again.
So Sean, essentially a repeater is your answer. You're not going to be able to really get out and have an easy time. You could do crossband repeat if you wanted to set somebody up as like a dispatch center at a high point along the course somewhere. But I think a repeater is really what you guys want.
Yeah.
So
what about power? Because GMRS, what can get up to
50 watts.
Oh, they can?
On the repeater channels, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So that's pretty much equivalent.
They're equivalent there, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So let's see. That was our voicemail from today. We get to talk radios. We'll get to talk a little bit more radios later on too, I think.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah.
Not really.
You love it. Let's go into Radio Land here.
You want to go into Radio Land?
We're going to Laido Rand.
Laido Rand.
Yep. Laido Rand. So I got a phone call. What was it? Friday night?
Yeah, it was Friday day.
Friday day.
Well, you're talking about my phone call to you.
Yes.
It was Friday day.
Okay.
Yes.
So I got a phone call Friday day from a young, fine gentleman asking me about radio stuff.
I did. I regretted it.
No, you didn't. No, I think I got a text message from you and you were like, hey, I have questions about radios. And so I called you like immediately.
No, actually, that's not how it went.
Okay.
I said, hey, non-emergency. I've got a question about radios. Call me at your convenience. And then it was like 2 hours later. I'm like, he hasn't called me. I'm just like, I want to get this solved. Call me. And so I called you.
Gotcha. Yeah. So anyways, what was your question? You had questions about some fun things, some nerdy stuff about how radios work.
Yeah. So long story short, I wanted to get a hold of some people that were up on the Rubicon from my house.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that there are linked repeaters to the Rubicon's repeater system.
Mm-hmm.
I just really didn't know if it was the N6CIW or the 805 or any of the other ones.
Which option you need to choose to talk in the Rubicon.
Exactly. Yeah. So then I also knew that I didn't want to sit in my truck the entire time waiting for people to either get back to me or sitting there every 10 minutes and making a phone call or a message out to the Rubicon to see if I can get a hold of somebody for the people that I wanted to get a hold of. So I also asked about how to do crossband repeat, which is a really cool feature.
Mm-hmm.
So you looked it up right then and there on how to do it with my Yaesu 400. What is it?
FT 400.
FT 400.
Yeah.
Which is actually pretty easy.
Mm-hmm. I was impressed with how easy it was to get into the crossband repeat function. Yeah.
So then I had a handheld that was connected to that I was able to talk to my truck with the mobile radio.
Mm-hmm.
Then it went from one channel to a second channel out to the repeater.
Mm-hmm.
Then from one repeater to the second repeater that was on the Rubicon. And I was talking to people out on the Rubicon.
Yep. On their radios.
On their radios.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really, that's pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
It was pretty freaking rad.
Hold on. We got to make a soundbite of that. Jimmy, go back and make a soundbite of that pretty cool.
Saying the radios are rad.
Yeah.
I did eventually work my way back so Bobcat's at the shop. And then I went back to the house that we're working on and I'm walking around with a radio on my side and the assistant's like, you're such a dork. Like, what are you doing? And I was telling her like, I'm I'm listening in to see if the people I'm trying to get a hold of, like if they ever call back to me. They never did, but we relayed a message to John Arns, who was out there, and then he was able to talk to them out on the trail. He found them on the trail. So that worked out well. But yeah, it was really neat to set that up and understand how that kind of all worked.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. We got a signal. You were able to continue working on the house project stuff, but still have crystal clear communication back into the Rubicon Trail.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
looking for your buddies. So
yeah, so the 805, it's just repeater, right? Because in the radio that you've set up for me, it has 805 Sim, which is simplex. It has 805 Placerville and then 805 Tahoe.
Yeah.
And so I just chose 805 Placerville because that's closer to me than Tahoe.
Yeah.
Does it matter? Is that really the difference of it? If I'm closer to Tahoe, I should use the Tahoe one. If I'm closer to Placerville, that's the simplicity of it.
For the most part, I don't believe the 805 Tahoe is linked to the 805 Placerville. I could be very well wrong on that.
So it's two separate systems?
I believe so.
Are they both connected to the Rubicon?
Negative. Only the 805 Placerville is connected to the Rubicon.
Got it. Okay.
I don't know. I'm never really up in South Lake Tahoe. If I am, I'm having barbecue lunch. And so my mind is not focused on repeaters at that time. But so I've never really like got on the 805 Tahoe one to see exactly what kind of stuff happens on that repeater.
Sure.
So yeah, but the 805 Placerville, you can pretty much hit the 805 Placerville from South Lake Tahoe. So I usually just stay on that one.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. And then you figured out how to do the crossband repeat, which is pretty much disconnect the microphone and then hold almost all the buttons on the right side of the faceplate and then press power, and then it powers up and it realizes that it doesn't have a microphone connected and it sets itself up into crossband repeat feature. And then once it's already there, you can still adjust the channels. So I was on 805 Placerville already, but then I changed the other one to, I think it was FRS, like channel 5 or something like that.
Yeah, one of the FRS channels you had in your handheld.
Yeah. And then I went to the FRS channel on the handheld. So then I was going FRS from the handheld to the mobile. And then it was going 805 out into the Rubicon. And I was able to talk to people. So that was kind of cool. And I'm excited. I kind of understand that now because I will probably set myself up just out on the Rubicon or whatever as a crossband repeat.
Yeah. Anytime you're out, and this is a huge benefit to off-roaders, right? Because we use our vehicle to go places, but a lot of times once we're there, we like to go on little day hikes from our camping area, right? And so if you have a handheld and you want to go on a camping hike that you're in a place that isn't like super well covered by a repeater, unlike the Rubicon. Like if you're in the middle of the Rubicon, you have great repeater coverage, but you can go hiking with your handheld and bounce a signal off of your vehicle, which runs 50 watts compared to your handheld's 5 watts.
Yeah.
Which then keeps you in contact with people you need to be in contact with on your hike.
Right. And for me, the thing is if I was on my handheld, I would not be able to reach the repeater.
Yeah. From your house.
But my truck has 50 watts and it can reach the repeater. So that I didn't want to stay at my truck just sitting there waiting for somebody to call back.
Yeah.
So the benefit of being able to do crossband repeat, take the mobile one to the handheld to the house so I could continue to do some work was a nice benefit because then I could just listen in whenever, all day while I was working at the house.
Nerd.
Yeah.
Nerd.
I was a nerd for a few hours.
I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
Yeah, so that was cool. I had my radio on at my desk. I was working from home, the home office. And so I was able to listen in on your transmissions and be like, yep, you're coming in great. You have it all configured. So
it's pretty crazy. Yeah. From a little 5 watt handheld, I was coming in nice and clear out on the 805 / Ruby Plus repeater.
Yep. And then I heard you at my house down in West Sacramento.
Yeah. Because you were listening on the 805.
On the 805, yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun experiment.
Yeah. So fun things to do with radios. Another fun thing we're doing with radios is Sierra Trek.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So this weekend, I have a bunch of family in town. I'm playing host for all the grandkids of my family, pretty much.
Yeah, you have some family stuff going on.
Yeah. And so I told everybody, I was like, hey, I need to go up to the mountains on Saturday. and do some radio signal testing. You guys are more than welcome to come with us if you want. And so we had my sister and my cousin came with me, and then everybody else stayed at home. So we went up to Fordyce.
Oh, where?
We went up Rattlesnake Road in particular, up to the concrete
Fordyce
bridge.
Lake.
Yeah, so up towards Fordyce Lake.
At the top. The concrete bridge at the top before you drop down into the lake?
Yep.
Got it. Okay.
So right there, you drop down, and about halfway down the drop to the lake, there's a little pull-out section. And there's a couple of USGS markers there that I found.
Okay, cool.
And so that's why the pull-out sections are there, so that USGS can come in and check on the markers. But I took a little hike up there, and it's only like a 400, 500 foot hike up to the top of the canyon wall. And then you get to look out down into the Fordyce Canyon.
Nice.
And you're right across the canyon from Old Man Mountain, pretty much right at the elbow of the canyon.
Yes.
Right, but right at the second river crossing. So I went up there.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
The committee crossing.
Second river crossing.
Second river.
Yeah. Committee's further up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The committee's up near between Windshield 2 and 3. We're a little further down trail from that, where that spot is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a different spot then.
Yeah. So, went up there and tested some radio signals, took a badass antenna with me and a little handheld, an 8-watt Baofeng handheld.
Okay.
To test the signals. And we had people up at Meadow Lake from the Sierra Trek committees that were doing some work up at Meadow Lake right now to help make sure everything is set and ready to build a town up there in the next couple of weeks. And so I was out hiking around and found a couple of spots I wanted to test. And then once the people got to Meadow Lake, we were able to start testing the different sites. So the first site I tested was No Bueno.
Okay.
Couldn't get a signal through. So
so no bueno means you couldn't communicate to the people at Meadow Lake?
Correct. Yep.
How did you know that it wasn't? How'd you know that it wasn't working, I guess?
Cell phones.
Okay.
Yeah. So AT&T signal works pretty well out at Meadow Lake. So I have AT&T, they had AT&T, so we were able to text message each other. And then I could hear him, and he was transmitting on, I think, 35 watts. And I was on 8 watts, and he could not hear me. So I moved locations. I went one more hump over and tried that, and it was great. Okay. He was able to hear me crystal clear, full quieting for my 8-watt handheld. And I was able to hear him, obviously, crystal clear at 30 watts. But I was looking at the terrain, and I was like, there's one more hump between me and now the canyon, right? Because I had to go one hump over. So the first spot would have been great in the canyon, but not good at Meadow. So this one was good in Meadow, but probably wouldn't have been good down in the canyon.
Right.
So I went one more hop over and tested up there. And I have line of sight to all the way down to Winch Hill 4, I believe, one direction, and pretty much Sunrise Hill the other direction.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so with that and the antenna, we should have clear communications from Sunrise Hill all the way to Meadow.
Sweet.
Yeah. So tested that third location. It's going to be awesome. It's just a bitch to get to carrying radio equipment.
And you're going to possibly set something up there to have great radio communications for Sierra Trek.
Yep.
One of those humps at least.
Yep. Okay. Probably the third one, most likely.
Yep.
But now I have to modify the radio equipment to make it easier to do rock scrambling on foot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I found a really sweet freaking battery. Going to get a nerd talk. I found a lithium ion battery that is 100 amp hours.
Wow.
With a lithium, it's about triple what you get out of an AGM 65 amp hour battery.
Wow.
So like a yellow top or a red top.
Yeah.
And it weighs half of the weight of a yellow top or red top.
Oh, dang. Okay.
So I found it on Amazon for $350.
Okay, but that's not good for there's no cold cranking amps.
No, there's no cranking amps out of it. Yeah.
Right. This is just a battery that for like a trailer or
a
house battery or a great for a repeater setup.
Awesome for hiking a repeater up to the middle of nowhere on a rock scramble.
Sweet. Yeah.
So the other cool thing about it is that it's about the size of an ammo box and has handles built into it. So like handles that roll up so you can just carry it. Right.
Okay.
That was super exciting. That was a find thanks to Frank Yost.
Oh,
I was talking with Frank Yost for like an hour about different
how to set this up,
just different things. And this battery was one of the things that came up, and I looked, I was like, that's what I need for Trek, for the Trek repeaters. And it'll probably power the repeaters down at King of the Hammers too.
Oh, cool.
But anyways, got that. So now I need to find a way to add carrying handles to the repeater itself. I need to find a way to attach the antenna to like my back, like a backpack straps kind of carrying handles. And then the housing to house everything in to keep it out of the weather, which I'm going to use one of those yellow Home Depot tubs, but I won't be able to carry. I'm going to have to make like, I think 2 or 3 trips to get over there. But
you need like a waterproof backpack.
Yeah, that's may not be bad. It'd need to be a big backpack to carry the repeater and the battery in it, and the solar panel too. I'm going to take the 200-watt solar panel. So, yeah, it'll be awesome communications for Sierra Trek. We are not giving out that repeater info to participants. So, I've already had a few people ask, what is the radio information for Sierra Trek? There pretty much isn't any. If you are on a trail, registered for a trail, you will get radio comms information in your registration packet for each trail that you're on. And then the goal is we're treating it like an ICS setup, information command system setup, where if anybody has troubles from the participants, you get in touch with event staff. We have over 200 volunteers up there at Sierra Trek, so you should be able to find somebody fairly quickly.
Absolutely.
All of the volunteers have the event comms info and should be able to have access to the event repeater system so that they can get important information back to the dispatch, which is me, so that I can then reach out to the smart people that have all the power and see what they want to do with things.
Right. Are you going to be in more or less the same location as last year?
For the most part, yeah. They're going to shove me back behind the bar, probably, and I'll be back there bored out of my mind, waiting for people to come back and say hi to me.
Yes.
So,
but you get secret drinks delivered to you.
I didn't get any last year.
Oh.
I know, I was a little bummed.
Never mind.
But I was also down. You suck. I was also down on the trail quite a bit last year because I got bored in camp.
Yeah, which you're not allowed to do this year.
Yeah, they told me I'm not allowed to do that this year. So I'll be back, hopefully looking for super secret drink deliveries.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Trek should be great. We have the repeater comms. It should be awesome this year for trail crews, all the volunteers, everybody associated with the event. I'm getting another repeater built, a Daniels repeater, which I think I'm picking up this week. And that one's going to be for, I haven't decided if I'm going to run it. I may set it up out here along with the UHF repeater for Sierra Trek and then use it for like my own personal stuff. Bored, just playing around testing.
Yeah.
And then if it needs to be used for emergencies, I can tell people the info on it. But that repeater is going to be the main repeater used down at KOH next year for a couple of the teams.
Cool.
So I need to test it and make sure it's all working. But yeah, that was my super nerdy stuff that I did. We took the Bronco.
I was going to ask what you drove, the Ford or the Bronco.
Took the Bronco.
Well, the Ford or the Ford, I guess.
Yeah, the big Ford or little Ford. So we took the Bronco and drove it to the repeater site. While we were waiting for everyone to get to Meadow, I took my sister and cousin down to Fordyce Lake, showed them the lake, and showed them committee crossing. Oh. Well, not the crossing. I drove the Bronco, aired down, and drove to the top of where that really rocky descent starts down to committee.
Yes.
So we drove to the top of that.
Yeah.
And then turned around, drove back out.
Okay.
Dropped them off at the lake. And then I went and did my hiking, looking at testing the repeater signals. But they loved the lake and they had a really good time being up on top of the canyon wall, overlooking the Fordyce Canyon and Old Man Mountain and everything that's down there.
How full is the lake?
The lake is the fullest I've ever seen it.
Wow.
By far.
Okay. There's some fun, like phenomenal is the word I was going to say. Really great camping at that lake. There's right near the lake. It's fairly well known and fairly easy to get to. So it's usually pretty packed, but there's some great camping spots around there.
Yeah. If you go down to the dam where kind of where committee takes off.
Yep.
That place was pretty much full. There was about 10, 12 vehicles in there. And there's a couple spots along the way for dispersed camping that were also full.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're fun. I mean, it's a good lake. I was curious how full it is because if they are going to slow down the flow for the event, I was hoping that they were thinking they should be letting a bunch of water out just in preparations to limiting the flow. So I guess we'll see how that works out.
See how it works. I've heard that it was spilling over the dam.
Oh, jeez.
A few weeks ago. When was that? During Cantina. So I'm hoping they have it all squared away for the event.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I guess we'll find out one way or another. The river run might be just down to the river and back up.
I don't think you're crossing the river. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yep. But yeah, so that's fun. That was my fun event for the weekend. The Bronco is super low to the ground, man. Just going over the couple little rocky sections, getting down to kind of the top of the hard part of committee. I was scraping on stuff.
Yeah.
So don't tell the secretary, but yeah.
She doesn't listen to this anyway.
No, she doesn't. But my sister and cousin were, every time we would like scrape the bottom, they'd be like, "Oh, that's not good." And I was like, it's just the frame rails. Yeah. Whatever.
The secretary doesn't need to know about that.
Nope. I was like, just don't point them out to her. She never looks under the vehicle, so she won't know.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. So that's fun. I need to, there's a plan in place to take the Bronco through the Rubicon at the end of September.
Okay.
If I'm going to do that trip, which I'm trying my best to commit to, I need to make some changes to the Bronco before then.
Yes. If
So
you're having problems just getting down to committee,
right,
then you're definitely going to need to add some things.
Yeah, that's I have 2 months if I want to take that trip seriously, and I think I've got about a month to kind of shit or get off the pot and inform. It's with Rubicon Trail Adventures, Dave McKinney.
Yeah,
inform him whether or not I can really make it happen. So
cool. Okay,
that's about all that I did. Most of my life is kind of being filled with the stuff, the reason why the family's in town.
Right.
I didn't get to do a whole lot else. Oh, my other cousin, she's always kept bugging me about, not really bugging me, but she's always been intrigued with welding.
Okay.
And whether or not she would like it. She's been doing arts and crafts stuff for a while. She's a very arts crafts personality.
Yeah.
And very much wants to do things herself and learn how to do things personality.
Sure.
And so we went in and I was like, well, I got a little bit of welding gas left. Let's go in and show you welding until I run out of gas.
Okay.
And so taught her how to do welding.
Where'd you start with MIG?
MIG. Yeah. We didn't do anything else, just MIG. And it was just funny because I was like, here's how to do it. You know, just run a couple lines, get used to it. And I was like, okay, slow down more, slow down more, slow down more.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good speed there.
She just wanted to rush it.
Yeah. And so
you should have just turned the line speed way up.
Just turn it way up. Yeah. So yeah, did that, got her running a couple lines, had her run the corner of some angle iron over and over again. And then she started writing things.
Like on a plate.
Cool. Yeah. And then I was like, cool, let's learn how to tack things together now. And so we would take piece of scrap metal and tack them together. And every time I started, she would just tack something together and then all of a sudden it would be stuck and she would like grab it and try and bend it and move it around and it wouldn't really bend and move. And she would just go,
nice. Yeah. She's excited.
So she was getting super excited and giggling about it all. And I was like, cool. Have at it. Go to town. Like, we took 2 pieces of angle iron and put them together like a square tube. So tacked them together and then welded the whole seam on both sides. So it was a solid square tube.
Hey.
And she got a kick out of that. And then after that, I was like, cool, here's a bunch of scrap metal. Go to town. Do whatever you want.
Go have fun.
And she made this like a really freaking cool sculpture.
Oh,
I have a picture of it. I'll show you. We don't, obviously podcast can't show everybody else, but I have a bag as well with like old tools that are duplicates that I don't really need or want anymore.
Yeah.
And I kind of just wait and fill up them into my trail welding bag so that I have, random pieces of scrap metal to use while I'm out on a trail.
Yeah.
She used some wrenches, cut up some wrenches. She got into my hardware bin and made like a little flower and then used a bunch of triangle gussets that I ended up not using for creating this kind of weird thing.
Yeah. It's like a little garden scenario. She welded some wing nuts on there and some, made like a little, I would almost say it looks kind of like a cactus.
Yeah.
and then flour with some wrenches and bolts that are all welded on, and the wrenches are kind of the pedals, and and then just an angle of some round tubing on there. That's something.
Yeah.
But
I think she was trying to make something motioned, because I was like, if you think about it, you put a round tube here and then you put something in it, and now you can spin whatever's in it and make something motioned.
Yeah.
And so I think she was trying to make something motioned and then got distracted by her flour.
Ran out of gas.
Yeah. But yeah, there's the front side of it.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it was fun kind of teaching her and just watching her giggle throughout the whole time, and then watching her face get progressively dirtier as she went too was hilarious, because I was like, yeah, that's what I do too.
Right.
But yeah, we used up all the gas, and now she's going to go back to the university she works at in Massachusetts. And they have like a creators corner center where they have a bunch of equipment, the 3D printers and lasers and stuff that people can come in to use and create ideas.
Oh, cool.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so she's going to talk to them and see if they'll
get a welder.
Yeah,
they should.
And so I could see her. I don't think she'll want to do very much structural stuff right now, but she's totally hooked on sculptural stuff.
Yeah.
And just hot gluing. She goes, this is really cool. It's like a hot glue gun. And I was like,
for metal.
Yeah, but way stronger. It lasts forever.
Yeah. Right.
I think that she's going to try and get them to set up a welding area for sculptures.
Sure.
At the university.
That makes sense.
Yep.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of metal sculptors out there. So, cool.
Yep. So that was a fun, another highlight to my weekend. It was just watching the gears go, and like all of a sudden her figuring out what she can and can't do, and the possibilities and the doors opening. So yeah,
that's sweet.
Yeah. It was a fun weekend.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. I had a fairly stressful week that wasn't really like anything significant, but it was just a lot of little stupid stuff.
Those are annoying weeks.
I know,
super
right?
annoying. Yeah.
So I got home from the road trip, right? And then I went, I did some work on Friday, and then we went out to the Flex Power Tool meetup on Saturday. We did something low key on Sunday. I don't remember what it was. But then on Monday, I was like, okay,
you gotta get caught up with work now.
I need to get caught up with work. I've been gone for like 10 days. Luckily, my brother did come down and work like 2 or 3 days and kept me up pretty close up to, with orders and everything. But I get into on Monday, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. And the internet's not working.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, what the heck? So the internet at the shop is linked, like has a hard line that runs to my parents' house and runs into their modem. Right. And I'm like, walk into their house and I go, do you guys have internet? And they're like, yeah, internet's fine. I'm like, okay, the shop doesn't have internet. And so I go back out to the shop, and I start diagnosing what's going on. And, I'm like, okay, I'll reset the computer. I'll reset the modem. I'll disconnect the lines. Still not working. Okay. I'll go into the computer, check out, like, am I really connected? Like fully disconnect to the, the modem, and then reconnect everything and, do all the passwords and absolutely everything, and still not working. And I need, for the most part, I need the internet to print out shipping labels and, connect to the software so that I can see what panels I need to run, or if there's any custom etching or anything. So it was at some point I just kind of gave up on the internet, and I went into my parents' house and I just stole my dad's computer and printed out all the labels that I needed and shipping things. And I couldn't do any custom ones, but I have some of the presets in the laser for doing some of the work. So I was able to get out a good chunk of, like, I don't know how many I had. Maybe I had like 8, and I was able to get 6 of them out or something like that. So then on Tuesday I came down here and we recorded. Right. And then on Wednesday I went back. Oh, I think at the end of the day, we figured out that the internet problem was with the connection at the back of the modem.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I thought it was at the modem at your dad's house.
Yes. The Ethernet cable that goes from the shop to the house, connects into the modem at the house, was loose.
Yeah.
And so we figured that out at the end of the day. I think because I did all the panels that I could do. So then my dad, he just sort of tacked it together with some super glue and let it go overnight. And then on Tuesday I came down here to record. So then he pulled the cable out of the modem and then like fully super glued it all the way together. So hopefully it doesn't move. And then we figured, well, worst case scenario is we'll just cut the cable and we'll just put another connector on the end. But let's see if the super glue holds then. On Tuesday, when I came down here, I was planning on driving straight down to where I get my fasteners, my screws for the panels. And there was a bad accident on the causeway.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I got a little ways down and I was like, screw it. I'm turning around. I'll go down there later. Traffic near the end of the day should clear out. So I come back to the warehouse. We do one of our recordings and then we have a break for lunch. And I was like, I'm going to go I think you had a phone call or something. And I was like, I'm going to go run and get panels or the screws because I had a pickup or I had to drop off panels and pick up screws. And so I drive down to go pick up the screws, which is maybe a 10 to 15 minute drive. Took me about a half an hour to get down there. Traffic was still horrible at like 1 o'clock. So I said, well, I can't go get panels. So then I drove back here. We recorded our second episode. And then I went a whole nother direction, like on top of town, go drop off panels and then came back. And then on Wednesday, I think the internet was working and I was able to play catch up and fully got everything done. And then Thursday, I really needed to work on the house. So I didn't get any work done. Something else happened on Thursday and I don't remember what it was. Oh, the laser went down.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Right. My laser randomly stopped.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And it was on Wednesday. And so I spent a chunk of time on Wednesday going like, well, I ran a bunch of panels, but I couldn't get them all done. And then Thursday I came in, I'm like, I'm talking to the assistant. I'm like, babe, I'm sorry. I know we need to work on the house, but I also got to get my work going.
Yeah.
If I can't get work going, I'm not making money, so I've got to spend time doing that. So I did post something on our Facebook. There's a Facebook group for the lasers that we have, and they gave me a bunch of good ideas. One of them pointed, I think, right to it. And so
somebody had a picture of it.
Yeah. And so I was like, I think this is the problem. So then on Wednesday or Thursday, I went in and I yes, that I believe this is the problem. It took me a freaking hour to get the emergency stop button out. That's what the problem ended up being.
Wow.
And it just wouldn't connect. And so I had to cut it off. I just literally hacksawed the button off of there. And I sent a picture to the dude that gave me the suggestion. I said, this was the problem. This is the culprit. I had to cut mine off. And he's like, I had to do the same thing.
Wow.
Like, okay. So then luckily we have a laser company here in Sacramento that sells lasers. And so Light Object is the name of the company. They're really good.
Yeah, they are.
So I called them up and I said, hey, I'm just confirming online. It says you guys have emergency stop buttons. I want to confirm that you have them before I cruise down there and grab them. They're like, yeah, we got it. And I was like, sweet. So I drove down there, bought an emergency stop button, came back, connected it all up, turned the laser on, and it still wasn't working.
Oh,
so the problem that I was having the first time was, so to turn the laser on, there's a key and a button. The key turns the actual power to the laser, the CO2 laser on. The button turns the controlling unit on.
Oh, okay.
Right. So when I would turn the key, the laser would turn on, but I'd hit the button, the control unit wouldn't turn on. That was the original problem. When I put the new emergency stop button in, I turned the key, the laser would not turn on, but I hit the button, the laser or the control unit would turn on.
Okay.
I'm like, what? This is the opposite symptom that I just have from the emergency stop that I pulled out. So then I just switched the cables on the back of the emergency stop. And then the laser would turn on, but the control unit wouldn't turn on. Okay. So I did some testing, and what it looks like is the emergency stop has one's continuous and one's not.
Okay.
And so I need an emergency stop that has both continuous, but then when you hit the emergency stop, it turns them both off.
Gotcha.
And I can't find that.
Oh no.
So I literally just hardwired it.
Yeah.
They were both like spade connectors. And so I bolted them together and just taped it. And so right now I don't have an emergency stop on my laser, but figuring all that out took all my Thursday.
Yeah.
Right. And then I come back in on Friday. I'm like, okay, I've got 4 panels to run, and then I'm going to come to the house and I'll do some work.
Yeah.
And so that I didn't work on the house all week because I was doing everything. And then Saturday we planned to go to the fair. So the state fair's in town. So we went to the state fair. Our game plan was we're going to get there at 10 when it opens. And then we're going to stay until we burn out,
Mhm.
literally,
Yeah.
right? Because it's going to be
hot on
106 that day or something.
Yeah.
At like 7:30 in the morning, I get a phone call from my father saying, "Hey, the plumber's here and he wants to talk to you."
Okay.
Okay. I drive down to the house, talk to the plumber for a while, drive back to the Roseville house with the mini assistant. Then we go down to the state fair. I thought we were only going to be there till like 2, like when it starts to get hot. We were there until 7.
Jeez.
And I was like, okay, there went that day. I can't do any work that day. I was planning on doing something. And then Sunday rolls around and we had some birthday parties to go to for the mini assistant and friends and family. So yeah. And then Monday I drove down to San Luis Obispo for a buddy of mine, which is 100% worth it, but I didn't get any work done yesterday.
Yep.
And here we are Tuesday. We're recording all day. I'm not getting any work done today. Oh gosh. So Wednesday's going to be catch up. Luckily, fortunately, but unfortunately, I didn't really get a ton of orders over the weekend. I got a few orders on Monday. I have like 2 Tacoma panels in stock.
Oh.
So I'll get done with those pretty early, and then I have a few other versions of panels for the 4Runner and a Gladiator that I need to get out, and then I'm back ordered.
Yeah.
But on Thursday when the episode comes out, I'm picking up new more Tacoma panels from the powder coater, and I'll be up and running again. So
nice.
Yeah, that's good. I was hoping to be able to do it today, but it just wasn't going to get done because the powder coater's like when I come down here to record with for the podcast, I just have a little bit further to go to the powder coater. So it's almost saves me a trip whenever I can do both of them in the same day.
Yeah.
So anyways, I gotta go drive and go pick up panels on Thursday this week, but then I'll have panels to be shipping up, and then I'll be working all day Thursday. I don't know when the panels are going to get done Thursday, but I'll probably be working all day Friday, just being catching up. So haven't done a lot of housework lately, and the assistant's not too happy about it.
Yeah.
I think I did say in one of the previous episodes that we had to sit down kind of and came to the realization that we're not moving in a week or so.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Not happening.
So we did schedule carpet guys coming in. I think next week we have scheduled where we ripped up some of the carpet in the rooms and there's hardwood floor. And so we scheduled a hardwood floor guy to come and resurface the hardwood floors.
Nice.
And that's in like 2 weeks. And then I've got some buddies coming up into town in a few weeks, and we're going to have a baseboard party. We're just going to run around the house and put all these baseboards in. And so I got to go and buy a bunch of baseboards, and Dylan, I need to come and grab your baseboards. And and then otherwise it's just painting and cleaning and sanding.
You're not allowed to see Dylan.
I know.
So
I don't know what
I don't know how it's going to work.
I think I'm going to ask Zach to grab him for me.
There you go. That'll work.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, so hopefully this week, because I don't have any Tacoma panels, I'll have some free time to do some working on the house. And I did scrape. So a lot in regards to the ceiling in the front room where I was having problems with the texture. I did have a lot of people saying I can sand it down, Rodney called me and said that it's water soluble. So I can grab a sponge and I can just sort of wipe it off. And I figured, well, if it's water soluble, then I can pretty much act like I did with popcorn ceiling and I can spray it and then just scrape it.
Yeah.
And that totally worked.
Nice.
Yeah. So I scraped, I think I had like, I don't know, a 16 or 18 inch like putty knife that I was scraping the ceiling with. And I did straight down where the seam was. And then I scraped on each side of the seam. So it was, there's like a 36 inch roughly window where there's no texture anymore. And I did that on Friday. And so that sat all weekend when it was hot. And so that everything all the water that I did spray up there it's all dried now. So this week, my goal is to come back and flood those lines, let that sit for a day. And then I'm going to pull it. I have a few spots to flood we filled this hole in the bathroom. And then we pulled off the mirror and there was a hole like where the medicine cabinet was in the bathroom. So I filled that hole as well. So I've got some flooding to do in the upstairs bathroom and then texture the ceiling again and then texture the spots upstairs that we fixed. And then hopefully that's good enough and we can start painting the downstairs.
Nice.
Because our goal is to have that room at least painted so that we can take all the flooring and all the stuff covering the windows and everything off. So when we do move in, we can have that front room as a store or a staging room.
Yeah.
And if we don't know if we didn't label the box or we aren't ready for that yet, we can just put it in the front room and we'll get to it later.
Yeah.
So that's at least the game plan right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, cool. It sounds like the house is coming along slowly but surely.
Slowly but
working.
surely. Yeah. We, the assistants complains often, but
no comment.
Well,
I'll hold my tongue.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is, I related it to working on trucks where there's times when you think, oh, all I'm going to have to do is paint the ceiling today. And then you realize that there's mold and the paint is chipping and you have a lot more work that you have to attend to.
You find rust in the body panels and now you got to cut all of it out.
Yeah.
Build new body panels.
Or the bolt doesn't fit and you got to go to the hardware store and get another bolt. Or, there's, just the fitment's bad and you've got to, modify it to make it work right. And, so I was telling her like, this is exactly like working on a truck or working on a car or whatever. You think all you got to do is this one simple little step, but then you realize that you have to do 5 steps to get ready for that. And she's getting frustrated with it. And I think I'm just accustomed to it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's it. Okay. Yeah. I've got to do these 3 more things before I can start doing that one thing that I plan to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think now she kind of realizes why working on a truck takes so long because now she can relate it from the house to how I have to deal with things on the truck. Because every time I work on the truck, she goes, what went wrong this time?
Yeah.
And there's always something, it never works flawlessly. It never, there's always something, whether you can't get one bolt out and it just takes you a really long time or, like the whole thing's foobarred. There's always something wrong. And I think that she's coming to that realization on how that works in the automotive industry by working on a house because the house is, it's a 50-year-old at least house. I think it was built in the 70s, maybe like extremely late 60s, and my parents lived in that house for 40 something years and they did updates and they did things, but they, the assistant wants to fill every tack hole.
Yeah.
And there's tack holes like for 40 years in some of these walls. And, she's like, oh my gosh, we're never using tacks. I hate tacks. Like, look at all these tack holes that we are filling. And I'm
how
like,
else do you put stuff on a wall then?
Kind of, those putty things or whatever, and I'm
I
like,
don't trust those.
I said, well, in 40 years, when we move out of this house, we can let the next people worry about more tack holes. Like, we're going to use tacks, So yeah, it's just kind of managing expectations, I think, is a lot of what's going on right now. And
that's life in general, in my opinion, is managing people's expectations, man.
Yeah. Of how long something's going to take. I don't know if you want to go into any Forerunner stuff right now. But I think quick. I think that, to some extent it's happening still, with the Forerunner.
Yep. Totally. We dropped off the Forerunner the first week of June and it didn't get started working on until the first week of July because other projects that Ori was finishing up took a little bit longer as they do, right? That we just talked about. So I did get to go up there though. And I've picked up my wheels and tires from him and I've picked up all of my Toyota axle stuff from him. While I was up there, he got the rear frame all cleaned up.
Oh, cool.
So he's got my batteries pulled out and took all the suspension stuff off, bump stops, everything. The frame is clear. So he was able to fit up and kind of put up all the 4-wheel underground brackets and everything's going to fit beautifully.
Sweet.
So that's going to be good. He said that, everything's pretty straightforward with the brackets. It's a very straightforward kit and it's kind of really nice the way it's done because you can look at it. And if you're used to suspensions, you can be like, oh yeah, this bracket goes here. This one goes here. This one goes here. And that's pretty much where they go because that's how they're built.
Right. Yeah.
So he was very impressed with the 4-wheel underground kits. I gave him the axles, not built. I mean, not put together, right? Not assembled.
Yes.
And, because I was like, do you want them unassembled? That way it's easier to maneuver the axle underneath the vehicle and you don't have knuckles flopping around. And He goes, yeah, it'll probably be easier to get everything positioned with them unassembled. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I gave it to him unassembled and he goes, hey, I need these assembled. And I was like,
yeah, we talked about this.
Okay, whatever. So he got to assemble the axles, and now that they're all assembled, he has them on a couple of pneumatic lifts underneath the 4Runner.
Okay.
Just kind of getting them positioned, seeing how they're going to sit there, see how wide they are.
Yeah, I bet.
My WMS, the wheel mount surface of the axles, is completely on the outside of the body.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's amazing. I absolutely love it.
You need some positive offset wheels.
I'm not getting any, but at least yet. Once I get portals, then I'll be looking at some positive offset wheels.
Okay.
So
tall.
Yeah.
The portals.
It'd be amazing.
You're gonna have the same problem you have now. It's gonna be the same ratio.
Probably, yeah. height to width. So anyways, he's got the rear frame all cleaned up. He's gonna completely do the rear suspension before he cuts the front frame off.
Okay.
But he has the axles fully assembled, and he said everything went together great. I had all of the measurements correct on the axle shafts, and everything's going together. The only thing he has to do is create that spacer for the rear unit bearings for the drive slugs, and to hold in there from the cap on the unit bearing cap.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, just find some PVC that's the right diameter and cut it to length or whatever you need to float it in there to make sure the drive slug doesn't come off of the axle shaft and the unit bearing. He goes, cool. I was like, okay.
All right. Yeah.
So he's going to work on that. Easy fix, easy solution there. Everything else went together. The knuckles are all assembled. The unit bearings are on the knuckles. And the brakes, he said, are all fit up just fine. I do need to get brake lines, I believe.
Okay.
But yeah, he put it all together and he goes, these are actually pretty badass.
Oh yeah?
He goes, all the parts that you're using on these axles, and then you're putting it under a clapped out Toyota.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it's going to be great. So anyways, I got to go up and check all that out, and it's coming along. And I think he's making the next push on working on stuff this week.
Cool. Okay.
So I'm guessing there's probably another 3 weeks left, 3.5 weeks left of labor time on everything, which means we won't have it done for Marlin Crawler Roundup or the Yokohama trip that we're looking at.
Okay.
And definitely won't be done for Sierra Trek, I don't think. And so I think though that we can have it up and running for Rubicon.
Ooh, that'll be good.
It'll be close, but I think we can get that done.
Put that deadline on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I want my test run to be this run.
Yeah.
For this week.
Mm-hmm. So hopefully, I don't know if I'll have a winch on the vehicle for Rubicon and recovery points.
You don't need one.
But in theory, I shouldn't need one.
You got an axle we can wrap around.
I was going to say, if we do end up needing a recovery point, I'm going to have some badass suspension and axles under there. We'll just wrap it around the axle and pull me.
Yep.
I did have a brief minute where I decided to go full hydro on the steering, because then I'd be able to move the front axle forward even a little bit more.
Okay.
And we won't have to worry about packaging the tie rod, drag link, a steering box with a panhard and everything there in the front axle.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I was talking with Ori about it. And he goes, I can do it. It's going to add another like 4 to 5 days to your build though.
For going full hydro?
To go full hydro versus the hydro assist.
Oh.
And I was like, all right, let's just stay with the hydro assist then. So that, and now if anything does happen, I can get towed out of the trail, dead towed.
Right.
So you can't get dead towed out of a trail with full hydro.
Well, you can. It's just you don't have steering.
You have zero steering.
If you have a steering issue. Yeah.
So we're going that route. I'm going to stay hydro assist. Everything's coming along, and I love the way the axles are.
Cool.
So I'm excited.
Yeah. I'm excited to see this thing completed, and just even the stance it's going to be on. I think it's going to be rad. It's going to be rad. It's going to be interesting to see how we're going to have to clearance fenders for the articulation. So, yes. Well, let's see. We still have your numbers right here next to us. So I'm excited to see the difference of those as well. Yep. So yeah, that's it. 4Runner update coming along. If you guys want to see pictures of the axles completed and kind of held up underneath the rig, they're up over on Instagram at 4x4 Toyota Tyler.
And we have, I don't know, what do we got going on over on the Snail Trail Instagram right now?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
I haven't posted a thing on social media in a while.
Cool.
I need to, especially the business side. I haven't posted over there either. So yeah, you can follow me at Snail Trail 4x4 on Instagram, Jimmy at snailtrail4x4.com if you want to write me an email. Or like we talked about a little earlier, you can always phone in and talk to us at 916-345-4744. You can also follow the Forerunner build with 83 Ricky Bobby on Instagram.
Yep.
And Ori, that's Ori's page, and he gives some updates there as well.
Yep. Cool stuff, man. If you guys want to get entered to get a chance at winning a set of Yokohama tires, make sure you head over to the Apple Podcasts and leave a review for Snail Trail 4x4. Doesn't matter what that review is. I don't care what it says. We have some fun ones coming up that we get to read, but the more fun you can make them, the better as well, because it keeps us entertained while we're reading them on the podcast here. But as soon as we get to 750 reviews, we're going to do a drawing from those 750 reviews for a set of Yokohama tires.
Nice.
Which is pretty cool.
Yes, it is.
So if you can find a way to leave more than one review, you increase your odds of winning. So with that being said, I think that's about it. Jimmy, do you have any final words for everybody out there?
Maybe I need to change my competition from Chris to you for how many times we're all going wheeling this year.
And with that, my friends, keep crawling.
I got one for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Are you sure?
I'm holding on.
I think you can get this one.
Oh, okay. I'm ready. I'm really ready.
Okay.
Ready.
What's a zebra?
That's it?
It's a couple size bigger than an A.
What?
A zebra?
It's a couple size bigger than oh. Okay. That one's confusing. I don't like that one.
No?
No, it's confusing.
Sorry. Did you hear about the broken guitar for sale?
No.
Comes with no strings attached.
Nice. Those are the best ones. Yeah. Good old Marketplace.